Well, folks, what I'd really like to be doing today is an episode with this Dakota. But the reality is, in case you missed the recent video with me and nephew Sam, it's got a fresh engine with no oil pressure. And it didn't have very little oil pressure for very long before it started making a new noise. I don't know how well you can hear it, but I'll tell you one thing, it isn't supposed to be there. So with that new information, a guy's inclined to do something else to make a couple extra bucks, because like the money's already spent on this, and I didn't really have it to spend twice. And if I'm trying to avoid Freedom 85, well, that guy needs to find some extra cash. An episode or two ago, nephew Sam pointed out, hey, you got like 12 or 14 cars. And like, I don't usually mind having lots of cars kicking around. Sometimes you can find some good parts off stuff, but we gotta spend a few bucks on the next Dakota engine because, it didn't go well the first time. Chances are it's gonna cost some money. It's time to haul some scrap metal. This is candidate number 1 right here. It's a 2000 and something Cavalier, I think. Engine blown up. We had some friends over for a bachelor party, and we just kind of drove this one until it didn't drive anymore. Old Uncle Corey, he destroyed it. So it's the first one to go because, well, it doesn't drive anymore, and I don't foresee putting another engine in this thing. Now, if any of you watching are between the ages of, say, 16 and 95, I'd strongly recommend getting yourself a truck and trailer. You can always make a few extra bucks hauling scrap or something else, and you'll always have some friends that only ever talk to you when they need something hauled. So that's a bonus. Now, another important thing to know about hauling scrap is, at least where we are, they're dinging you for every tire that's on it. And it ain't cheap. It's like 12 bucks a tire they'll charge you back. So it's best you get the tires off. You can throw them in the ditch or something on your way back, but make sure you get tires off it. Now, for yard and tires off, you can get by with one of these El Cheapo just spare tire jacks. This one's off an 05 Dodge, I think, and it's got a socket head that happens to be the same as a wheel nut. I find that most convenient, and it fits in small spaces, if you know what I mean. You might have to pay attention to where you jack, because you can see that the jack's just going right through the floor, which we don't care about in this particular application, but just in case you ever doing something you might care about, it'd be wise to deal with that. It's good to carry a couple blocks of wood around with you. I found a 4x6 in the ditch, which is a pretty good score because like they're square and nice, but you don't have to. You can use a round block or a triangle block or whatever you find. This just happens to be a more professional decision or whatever. Now, we went really high with this one because we want to get that catalytic converter out of there. I tell you, the catalytic converter, like, it's worth just about as much as the car sometimes. So that's definitely take those out if you got access to a saw. And if you don't, I don't know, a hammer or chisel, or figure out a way to cut it. Borrow one. Maybe somebody who needs to borrow your trailer will have a saw. Well, that's less than ideal. The blade just fell out. There we go. Now, in my case, it'll cost me a Sawzall blade once in a while, because that's what I used, but I tell you, that thing will be worth like, well, this is about the worst one. I think a Cavalier one's worth like 40 or 60 bucks here. But like, if you get one off a Toyota or a Subaru or something, they can be worth like $200. They're worth taking. All right, that's catalytic converter off and one tire down and on block. 3 more tires to pull and then some more junk to load. We're ready with this part, other than we got to strap it down. Now, as far as strapping down goes, just make sure it doesn't fall off. That's what you want to do. I got a simple solution that is, if it's sitting on the chassis, strap it down by the chassis. If it's sitting on the suspension, strap it down by the suspension. Then usually the straps don't fall off. It seems to work so far. Guys make it pretty complicated, but basically just make sure it doesn't fall off. It isn't complicated. Hey, look at this. We found this too. It's an old clothes dryer machine. It's made out of metal. Maybe they'll take that too. We've also loaded the trunk completely with a bunch of garbage. We've also loaded the trunk with a bunch of metal. I mean, not garbage. It's not garbage. It's all scrap metal. We also found a few batteries, a couple radiator or AC condensers. We got a few catalytic converters. Hopefully between all that stuff, we got us a decent load of metal. We're loaded up. We're gonna be strapped down in seconds here and we're going to haul it away. We're on the scale now. And what we know is this whole rig weighs 11,520 pounds. Truck, trailer, and car behind us. So that's kind of neat. Well, say goodbye. That's the end of the Cavalier. Well, folks, we got ourselves a receipt and we got a check out of that deal. Now, I had one car that ended up weighing, incidentally, 2,740 pounds, and for that, I got $191, which works out to $1.40 a ton. Radiator that was worth 20 bucks, and a couple aluminum radiators, they were worth 5 bucks. A piece of cast that was worth 2 bucks. We had $72 worth of batteries. Now the catalytic converters, well, the ones for Kyle's Turbo Avalanche, they were hardly worth anything. I had 3 of them in total for a grand total of $110. Now the Cavalier, on the other hand, I only had one of, and it was $110 by itself. Which brings us to a grand total of $513. Which, you know, that might just get us a new small block. So folks, it's a couple days later, and I was really hoping to find like a, Facebook Marketplace, small block Dodge, score deal, or I look for whole trucks and cars, and truth of the matter is, in the last 4 days, absolutely nothing has come up that I wanted to go even look at, let alone buy. So, the time has arrived to go to a swap meet. Maybe we'll see something there. Tell you one thing we're going to see Cruise Culture Magazine. And probably get to talk to Brian Halsey himself, so that's a good day, if nothing else. Well, folks, we got back from looking around at the swap meet. As it turns out, there's just not that many 360 LA blocks for sale. There's lots of Magnums, and we could go that route, but there's some process involved with that I'm not quite prepared to handle. And the reality is, this old engine's still kind of sentimental to me, so I think what we'll end up doing is yarding it out, taking the pieces over to a machine shop, and seeing what he says. You'll see that in a future episode of Heathen's Garage. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.